Hello viewers, today's topic is food cost control in catering business, and our objectives are definition of nature of food cost control and how it should be calculated, factors of cost control in catering. Definition and nature of food cost control. Cost control has been defined as the guidance and regulation of the cost of operating an undertaking. To guide and regulate costs mean to ensure that they are in accordance with the predetermined objectives of the business. Hence, the notion of the guidelines and regulation of costs presupposes the existence of stated objectives as expressed in the policy statements and the budgets of the undertaking. Food cost control is simply cost control as applied to an undertaking operating food facilities. Food cost control is therefore cost control as applied in hotels, restaurants, canteens and similar establishments. It is quite common in certain catering circles to regard food cost control as something wholly negative designed to cut costs in all directions. This is quite wrong. The object of food cost control is to ensure that costs are neither more or less than they ought to be, that they are in line with the financial and catering policies of the establishment. An important feature which distinguishes food cost control from systems of cost control in other industries. It is materials cost orientation. In most aspects of food cost control, attention is directed to primarily to the cost of materials, that is cost of sales, leaving the cost of labor and other operating costs very much in the background. This is mainly due to the fact that in the short run, labor and other operating costs tend to remain fixed and are thus largely uncontrollable. The formula for this food cost is beginning inventory plus purchases minus ending inventory. Whole thing has to be divided by food sales. So, to memorize this formula, FC is equal to BI plus P minus EI divided by S. Food cost is calculated by taking beginning inventory for the period and adding all the purchases to that number. Then we have to subtract the ending inventory number. This gives the theoretical value of what should be used that week in the product. That number is divided by the sales and a percentage of the sale is calculated for the cost. So, when we say that food has cost of 40%, that means that should has been spent 40 for every rupee that took in sales. Food cost control may be summarized as follows. Analysis of income and expenditure. In financial accounts, stress is usually placed on an assessment of total quantities, example, sales, cost of sales, gross profit and net profit. In food cost control, on the other hand, much stress is placed on the analysis of such total quantities as between the various departments of the business. We are thus not satisfied with the ascertainment of the total gross profits of the business as a whole, but attempt to ascertain the cost of the profit on each department and each unit produced. Pricing of food and quotations. Another major objective of food cost control is to provide a sound basis for menu pricing and quotations in respect of banquets and special parties. While often menu prices are fixed by caterers by reference to prices charged by competitors, the correct approach to the problem is to determine menu and other prices in the light of the main costs and market considerations. Thus, in addition to knowledge of prices charged by competitors, the customer spending power, etc. It is necessary to take into account the costs of the establishment. This can only be done by installing a sound system of food cost control. Prevention of waste and inefficiencies. As already noted that the purpose of control is to ensure that current results are in accordance with the predetermined objectives of the business. Invariably, such objectives are expanded in terms of targets for turnover, cost ceilings and profit margins. Clearly, if such targets are to be reached, all possible forms of waste and inefficiencies must be prevented. In order to be effective in preventing waste and inefficiencies, a system of food cost control must cover the whole field of catering operations. From the purchase of foodstuffs to the sale of the meals, it will be appreciated that as the catering process proceeds along the link of the purchase of the foodstuffs to the sale of the meals, there are numerous critical areas. Example, receipt of the incoming goods, preparation of meals and cash control, at which considerable losses may be incurred. An effective system of food cost control will therefore place particular stress on such critical areas of control, and in this way help the establishment to reach its predetermined targets. Data for management reports. In this, an important function is to be fulfilled by the food cost control system is the provision of a data for periodical reports on food operations. It is said that the manager is like a judge. His judgment is only as good as the information supplied to him. Effective catering management presupposes adequate food cost reporting, which can only be based on a sound system of control. Now we will see about the objectives of cost control. The main objective of controlling of cost in catering business are control of labor cost, control of overheads, calculation of overhead allocation rates, periodical percentage analysis. Control of labor cost. Once the payroll contracts of staff have been finalized and the methods of payment and the benefits to be provided to staff decided upon, control can be exercised by ensuring that the payments are suitably authorized. All payments made to be staff required to be signed to indicate that remuneration has been received. Payrolls payments are more or less fixed as per time rates or contracts of employment cannot be controlled. Bonus payments or awards linked with productivity and efficiency incentive costs. Labor cost control is thus a matter of efficient utilization of the abilities of staff to perform maximally. Some basic tools for control of staff costs have been developed and used by managers. Time and energy management. A few examples can be represented to guide managers in the development of the better versions suitable to their particular working environment. The methods of control suggested are based on maintenance of accurate records of time and work, supervision in relation to job descriptions, analysis and accounting for wages. Now we will see the timekeeping. Timekeeping refers to the recording of the time periods during which each N member of a department is present and available for work, and the manner in which the time is S different methods are used for recording an employee's punctuality of arrival, and the time when leaves the workplace. These can be given in the following manner: signing the time of arrival in a register in the presence of a time clerk, keeping entrance open about 15 minutes before required time of arrival, and 15 minutes which is allowance for permissible delay. This is no admission if an employee is in then half an hour late. Time cards bearing the name and identification number of the employee are punctured for a week and analyzed. New cards are issued for each week and collected by the timekeeper for record of overtime and regular work. Clocks card which are insertion at the entrance unlock the gate automatically, punch time on the card and release it for the staff to remove, accompanied by automatic relocking of the place. The same procedure is followed every time an employee exists. The machine records are then analyzed for employees' exact presence at work. Apart from the total duty hours as recorded in a time or clock card, it is important to have information regarding the use of that time for various activities or jobs, as this information is required by the cost accountant for charging different accounts with the labor cost for those activities. You can see the time cards for weekly time sheet and daily time sheet. Any tool that helps in controlling employee costs will assist in cost controlling, which is helped by payroll and wage analysis sheets. Each instrument being designed or modified to suit establishment a particular. Since catering is a service industry, labor or staff cost from the largest expense next to labor cost include salaries of staff and the value of all benefits provided to them, such as medical facilities, housing, insurance, bonus, pension and uniforms. Controlling labor cost that involves control of expenses in all the areas listed, which is difficult because of the relatively nature of the cost. They are, however, briefly outlined. Meals. According to the policy of the establishment, a subsidy is generally given for staff meals and therefore not subject to change in the short run unless the policies changes. The subsidy is worked out on the basis of average costs. For determining the cost of employees' meals, therefore, the number of meals served is multiplied by the estimated average cost per meal. Then the cost of 3 meals is added together to arrive the cost of employees' meals per day. Example, if 20 breakfasts are consumed at 5 rupees each, 30 lunch 8 rupees each and 20 dinners at 10 rupees each, then the cost of meals per day can be easily calculated. Differences in the numbers eating the different meals is due to work scheduling and are thus taken care of in the calculation of daily meal cost. Another method by which management can control employee meal cost is by fixing the sub on the meals and issuing coupon books for a week. Anything eaten by employees beyond the coupon values is paid for by the employee at the same menu price as other customers. Some establishment may fix prices of meals for employees at lower, that is discounted values, without paying out a monetary subsidy to employees. Their meals can be accounted for separately by the accountants section. Next, medical facilities. Every establishment has to provide medical facilities for their staff. Some may provide the facility, reimburse the cost to employees when they need medical attention. The surest way to control cost in this area is to ensure that employees remain in good. This can be done by providing a healthy work environment, social hours of work, limiting how ensure that fatigue and exhaustion does not set in, and providing nutritious meal at work. Insurance and pension. These costs are relatively fixed and worked out on the basis of salaries. Bonus. The payment of bonus is directly related to productivity and therefore profits. Establishments will be able to pay bonus to staff as they will earn in only in proportion to sales revenue earned. Management control on bonus payments is limited as it is negotiated by staff unions. Next one is uniforms. The cost of uniforms to an establishment varies with its policy. Where employees are paid uniform allowance, the cost can be easily determined. But where the establishments take on the responsibility of wearing uniforms, the cost will vary with the market prices of cloth and tailoring. These costs are and management control. The costs of laundry are also usually borne by the establishment with the policy on uniforms. In spite of all these different components, labor cost can be controlled by paying attention to some key areas such as type of operation, volume of business, peak periods, function and seasonal catering, equipment and technology. Type of operation. Whether traditional or fast food, if it is a traditional waiter service, mid is changed to a fast food, the labor cost decreases as customers get self-serviced outer a counter. Fast food, the labor cost decreases as customers get self-served over the counter. Volume of business. This refers to the proportion of personnel employed to volume of customers, staff-customer ratio. It is good policy to determine the minimum staff necessary even if business is low and ensure that they are fully utilized. Peak periods. Look at time of the day or the days of the when the maximum customers arrive. Schedule employees according to weekly forecast. Function and seasonal catering. Whether customers depend change with the seasons. If there are too many functions, how best to schedule staff to prevent additional part-time staff from being used. Equipment and technology. It is helpful to consider using labor and time-saving devices such as conveyors for moving goods, vertical and horizontal cutters, slicers and shredders, liquid dispensers to speed up beverages service and save time on portioning and handling. Electronic ovens. Convenience foods. If a layout of stores and kitchen is poor, more staff will be required and labor costs increase. Certain concrete steps can be taken to control labor cost. After a total appraisal of the establishment was made, some suggestions are schedule staff on shift basis so that they arrive only when needed. Staff should report to work in uniform and not change after reporting. Some part-time staff should be maintained on a regular basis. Fewer full-time permit employees, such employees can be available. on call and paid on hourly or daily basis. Use of staff overtime is dependent on the union contract situation, but should be limited far as possible. It is, however, cheaper to pay overtime to a regular employee and then hire untrained outside staff. But overtime should be planned and pre-arranged so that staffs do not misuse the facility by slowing down during regular working hours. Send personnel home early if they have no work on particular days. This idea, however, works well only with service personnel, but there has to be union agreement on paying them less when there is no work. The only real way to save labor cost is to retain staff once they join as establishment, so the costs of turnover are avoided. To be able to do this, it is important to be aware of costs of turnover. Every time an employee leaves a new one has to be recruited and costs are incurred on station interview time, communications, initial low productivity, supervision, badges, uniforms, brochures, policy and procedures, time and materials for physical and medical examinations. Although a certain amount of employee turnover is expected because of temporary worker, the industry and retirement, much of the permanent employee turnover should be avoided. Turnover does bring fresh ideas into the food service, but permanence of employees to implement ideas is essential too for success. Some managers think that an unfilled vacancy is labor cost saved. This is not a good poll because with overtime efficiency falls. If a very good employee leaves, a manager may have to hire two instead, which will increase costs. It is good policy to plan increases in salary on a regular basis and retain the good staff. Control of labor cost is therefore not always easy or very accurate because of the numerous variables involved and the scope for the time waste because of the service nature of the industry. Peaks and troughs of activity and changes in customer moods and demands are all dependent on internal as well as external factors that tend to change fast and often without notice. However, some tools are used to monitor labor costs such as job and time cards, work time schedules and so on. Time that is lost during working hours is called idle time and may occur while in changing room during shift, duty changes, visits to toilets, medical rooms with visitors and the like. While ideal time is evident in any catering operation, it cannot be attributed to any particular unit of production, service, staff, to or beyond to experience idle time while waiting for customers to arrive or finish their meal. They may also have to wait for an order passed to the kitchen and serve it only when ready. The time that passes between actual recorded time of arrival at work and the start of work, tea and lunch breaks also constitute ideal time, which is to be expected and therefore is often called normal ideal time. There are many other factors that can be overlooked easily. Control of staff cost therefore requires a list of allowable ideal time activities considered normal, beyond which it is may be considered as wasted time, reflecting inefficient management. Control then needs to be exercised because Time costs money to the establishment and once lost cannot be regained. Cutting into profits of the organization. The amount for staff for abnormal ideal time therefore is treated as a loss and not a cost, and is therefore directly increased in the profit and loss account. However, ideal time cost of indirect labor is included as overhead. Besides ideal time of ad hoc workers or daily wages can be controlled by effective supervision as they are paid on a weekly or daily basis, and the losses can be adjusted before making the payments. Now we will see about the overhead cost control. Overhead costs, which are generally fixed over a period, say a year, termed as fixed overheads, and we do not change with changes in volume of sales. Some overhead costs, however, do change with changes in volume of sales and remain stable. They are therefore called as semi-fixed or semi-variable overhead costs. Such costs repairs, maintenance and depreciation of equipment which do not change with time but not in the same ion as the change in the sales volume. Another category of overhead costs are considered as variable since they change with the volume. These include fuel cost per hour, stationery, costs of sale, normal ideal time, and so on. The overheads are subject to control just as any other type of variable cost. Of these costs, some are controllable and some are uncontrollable. You can look after the tabular column which are controllable cost and non-controllable cost. Next one is stationery. Many food services use unnecessary paper supplies and stationery. This can easily be controlled by the appropriate equipment. Example, installation of electronic cash register helps to do away with initial equipment. Cost will increase, but in the long run they would fall by control of stationery use. In addition, the costs of paper and other stationery items such as pens, pencils, erasers, stamps, etc. used by manager and staff can be controlled by strict inventory and supervision for preventing undue pilfers. Disposables. Expenses on disposable supplies such as plates, cup and napkins can also be curtailed by the good stock methods and issue procedures with responsibilities being delegated to one person their use. Besides the cost of disposable supplies and stationery, getting rid of large amounts of paper and supplies creates additional work for staff and adds to cost of disposable. Glass, china, silver. Glass and china cost in any establishment only increases because of breakage. Linen, laundry, uniforms. The only way to control expenses on linen and uniforms and therefore laundry cost is to dish linen to staff that are responsible for their own washing and care. Cleaning. While cleanliness is of utmost importance in any food service, it must be remembered that the use of detergents in various types of cleaning is not as important as the right type of detergent, right quantities. Security. The general feeling of most managers is that anything spent on security is not a waste of money, but must still be limited. Advertisement. Mode of advertising for any food service, whatever its size, is word of mouth, and the cost is quality food and service at all times. Therefore, the actual advertising cost. If a food service is rug on advertising, it needs to divert the expenditure on the improving the quality of its products. Donations. Donations can be given by ions given by any business for social causes are from accounting point of view an expense, but in they bring about cost saving. But such expenses are exempt from income tax payments. So, by this we are concluding the cost is not always a barrier to higher quality, but to improve the quality of catering service to patients, nutritional needs are to be identified and fulfilled, timeless of meals provided dietary assistance.